Justice Department says can defend religious schools exemption from anti-LGBTQ discrimination laws. A 51-year-old man has been sentenced to 30 years in prison after sexually abusing 2 boys. The government of Nicaragua arrests 5 opposition leaders. Imam Rizwan Ali talked about the impact of the pandemic on him and his congregation. Can science and religion come hand in hand? And we'll look at the changes on the government of Israel. Good evening, this is Inspirational Hour Radio Station News. I am Hazel. The Justice Department said in a new court filing that it can vigorously defend religious exemption from civil rights law that allows federally funded religious schools to discriminate against LGBTQ students. Some LGBTQ advocates were disturbed by the filing, saying its wording went further than just an obligation to defend an existing law. They want the administration to agree with them on the term that it is unconstitutional for federally funded schools to discriminate against LGBTQ people. Bishop Michael B. Curry, the first African American to be elected as primate of Episcopal Church in America. Curry says it is not a big deal for him, but says he has a fundamental Christianized predisposition for working to create a church and a world where there is room for everybody. He says he always wanted black people to accept LGBT. He says it is painful when gays are excluded, and Jesus Christ did not limit love, but he said all must come to him. Robert Messer says church leaders must engage with the world regardless of their denomination to become much better informed about science so they can expose their congregations to the moral issues embedded within each and steer them forward. He says in every religion there are common principles which are a respect for the individual and universal as a whole. He added if people are guided this way by their church leaders, they will start to re-energize and adjust their political systems. Jory Leeds, a 51-year-old man from Franklin, pleaded guilty June 2019 for sexually assaulting 2 boys around 7 and 8 years old. According to federal prosecutors, the bus driver has been sentenced to 30 years in prison. Jory Lead met the boys while serving as a volunteer bus driver for Target Dating Ministries. After he stopped volunteering, he will visit their home using a fake identity, take them to trips and buy them toys. The government of Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega arrested 5 opposition leaders during a major weekend roundup. 1 arrest was made on Saturday, whereas the 4 were made on Sunday. This seems like a detention for anyone who opposes the president's rule. From June the 2nd, the arrests now count to 12. Ex-Sandinista dissident Dora Maria Tellez was one of those who were arrested on Sunday with Ana Margarita Vigil. Tellez was a leading Sandinista militant who led an assault on the National Palace in 1978. She took in hostage Anastasio Somoza, Congress of dictator, in exchange for the release of Sandinista prisoners. One of the arrested also on Saturday was Tamara Davila, who was in UNAMOS formed by the former Sandinistas who were angered by Ortega's perpetual elections. The police says Tamara was arrested on charges related to a recently erected law that classifies as treason as support for sanctions against officials in the Ortega regime. Imam Ali says having lived through the pandemic has made them realize that putting their faith and trust in God and doing the concept of Shura were able to get through it the safest way possible while allowing Ramadan in their community to still be spiritually connected. Ali also says this was also a benefit of embracing technology and having people given access in their own time on demand to take sermons in classes and lectures. Naftali Bennett has vowed to chart a new course aimed at healing the country's divisions and restoring a sense of normalcy. He said the government will work for all Israel public religious, secular, ultra-Orthodox, Arab without exception as one. The biggest change will be domestically as the government struggles to heal divisions in Israeli society that opened up during Netanyahu years on the Jews and Arabs and ultra-Orthodox and secular Israelis. The government is also expected to maintain Netanyahu's hardline stance on Iran and oppose President Joe Biden's effort to revive its international nuclear deal. And if the government survives, Bennett will serve as prime minister for the first 2 years, followed by the centrist Yair Lapid. In our weather broadcast today, Beijing is seated on 29 degrees, Berlin on 23, Buenos Aires on 6 degrees, Cairo on 29, Cape Town seated on 18, Hong Kong on 36, Istanbul 20 degrees, and London also seated on 20 degrees. Los Angeles at 19, Madrid 28, Mexico City 15, Moscow seated on 27, and Mumbai also seated on 27. New York on 19, Paris 26, Sao Paulo on 13, Singapore on 27. Sydney seated on 13 degrees, while Tokyo at 25 degrees, and Toronto at 17 degrees. This is it for tonight. Stay tuned for more news and enjoy the rest of your evening.